Hi, my name is James Dowd, and today I will be doing my reflection number 2 for fostering innovation and leadership at the University of Florida. For this reflection, I am set to focus on chapters 1 and chapters 8 of Originals by Adam Grant. So, in chapter 1, Adam Grant focuses on what originality is and what makes an original. He defines originality as taking the road less traveled and championing a set of novel ideas that go against the grain but ultimately help us to make things better for us. I personally agree with this definition, as I believe in order to make yourself an original, you do have to go against what other people believe in or take the road less traveled. There's a lot of different people in the world, and some are followers, some are leaders. If you're a follower and you're a sheep, then you just kind of blend in. Nothing makes you stand out. Everyone has to have that factor that makes them stand out, that makes them who they are. It helps you get further in life, and it just betters the person altogether. Why blend in when you can be yourself, be an original? That's why I find myself at the University of Florida. I feel as though it gives me an upper hand in the job market, and all my future endeavors, the connections I made here are unbelievable. And I feel like everyone wants to do better than their peers. So that's my view on originality. In this chapter, Adam Grant also goes in to say that we live in an Internet Explorer world. By this he means people that work in customer service tend to keep their default browsers on their computer for their everyday tasks. That includes Internet Explorer and Safari. And he actually did a study on this that proved that people that don't use those default browsers and instead use something like Google Chrome or Mozilla Firefox actually tend to attend work 19% more than those who use the default browsers. I think this shows more of an initiative that, you're putting something into the job. You're solidifying your spot there, putting more effort in, and in turn, your work production is going to increase. Thirdly, in this chapter, he goes on to say that originality does not require extreme risk-taking. And I agree with that. I mean, anyone can be an original. You don't have to take big leaps. Surely, we all know Steve Jobs is original. He founded Apple and did things that were revolutionary for his time. But not everyone has to take that big leap of faith. Being an original could be something as far as, pursuing your passions or just everyday life tasks. Maybe you do your hair a different way. Maybe you wear different clothes. Something that makes you stand out, that makes you, you. And that can certainly lead to originality. The more you figure out who you are, the more original you become. There's no one with our exact set of DNA or raised with the same exact beliefs and have the same life experiences. It's almost impossible to copy. So, taking a big leap isn't necessarily required. It could be, but it's not. And that pretty much sums up what we read in chapter 1. So diving into chapter 8 here, there was a big focus on the benefits of changing versus focusing on the costs of not changing. And these are more of an offensive and defensive approach to certain situations. In the chapter, it mentions one guy named Pew who went from being a maritime lawyer to one of the greatest cold water swimmers. And he swam for 20 minutes in the North Pole Arctic Ocean, which no one had ever done before. He did this solely because someone said that it was impossible. He was talking to an outdoorsman who said it wasn't possible to do. So he took that as a challenge, took the offensive approach to change his life. And as a maritime lawyer, he may have had his merits, but that's not what he's remembered for. He's remembered for making that swim. That's what makes him stand out as an original, as a leader. Same thing with Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King stood up for what he believed in, took an offensive approach to, get rid of a terrible situation that was at hand. If he would have, he looked at the benefits that it could weigh. Equality is great, and the benefits there outweigh doing nothing. I mean, certainly there was a cost for not doing anything because situations would get worse, but taking the offensive approach to this suppresses those negatives and prevents more negatives from forming, which makes traveling down that road a heck of a lot easier. Finally, in this chapter, it focused on a man named, sorry for this pronunciation, but Srđan Popović. I think that's how you say it. He was a tour guide that helped train people in non-violent resistance techniques, and he ultimately trained people, which led to the downfall of the Serbian government and helped to install a form of democracy there. And these techniques that he taught were also later used in the 2010 overthrow of the Egyptian dictator. So he just had non-violent forms of resistance. He said something about throwing ping pong balls in the streets, putting food coloring in the water, make people aware, and just stand up for what he believed in. And ultimately it worked and has worked in other situations. There was no need to fight. There was no need for war. And finally, it went in to talk about his experience at the Red Hot Chili Peppers concert, which was to be held at the Republic Square. The Red Hot Chili Peppers were set to come on at midnight, but never showed up. Instead, depressing music played, and a psychologist named Boris Tadic came out and said that the people should not be celebrating, but instead they should reflect on this year of war and oppression and make 2000 a better year for them and learn from their emotional distress, and that hopefully this reflection can lead to a better future. That's all I have today. Thank you for listening. Have a good day.